Welcome back to I Love to Explore Oregon. In this video, we're exploring the Van Duzer Corridor. That's this stretch of highway right here, shown on Google Maps, that goes from about Grand Ronde to Otis, Oregon. It's 12 miles long, and it goes along Route 18 in Lincoln, Tillamook, and Polk counties. It passes through a narrow stretch of forest corridor. You can see down there in the left-hand corner, that's my dash cam that's showing some night driving. That's actually at twilight. My camera was kind of lighting it up pretty well. And then we're also looking at some pictures here on Google Maps. Most of these pictures will be of the rest area, which is a pretty nice rest area. It's a great place to stop if you're going on the way to the coast there from maybe like Salem or something like that. But there's a lot of mystery about this corridor, and that's what we're going to talk about right here and right now. You can keep your eye on that dash cam down there, or you can keep your eye on the other things I'm showing you here, like pictures of the rest area. And I'm going to dig into the mysteries, and I'm going to let you know that I went ahead and drove this stretch of highway just for this piece of research. I drove up and down it during the day and during the night about 4 to 6 times, and I got a lot of video footage. Now, I didn't actually see anything, and I didn't actually experience any of the time loss or sightings that people say that they have experienced, but we're going to talk about those. There has been websites that say people have lost track of time. There's been websites that say people have seen people from another era of time. There is a story about a couple driving down this stretch of highway and seeing a man when it was like 30 degrees out, walking in garb that looked like should have been from like the 1940s. And when they pulled over to talk to him and ask, but we're going to jump into this right here, right now, because we're on the video. This is what possibly people are quoting as Area 51 of Oregon. This is the Laurel Mountain radar site. And this is what people are saying is a lot of the reason why this stuff happens, because this mountain radar site is engulfing the corridor in electromagnetic waves. Now, I actually did a lot of investigation about this radar site, and you can see right here, if you actually were to make it up there, this gentleman on Google Earth right here took these pictures, and so it's saying, you don't dare want to go in there, and I'm not advocating any of that. I do not recommend that you go up here and explore any of this. Fortunately, it's all right here on Google Maps, so we can look at it. You can see the stretch of roadway, and there's been people saying that there's military vehicles along the stretch of roadway. A lot of it's probably just going to have gated off, so there's no way you're going to make it up there without full-on trespassing or breaking the law, and you probably would need a pretty good vehicle. But I did note that you can just Google Map it. You can go into Google Maps, type in Laurel Mountain Radar Station, and it will tell you directions on how to get there. So it's not hidden by any means as far as Google Maps is concerned or any of that. And I also did start to do some research on it, as we're going to see in this video. I did really dig into investigating it. Going back to a little bit about talking about some of the events that happened on this corridor, here you can see how far away that place is from the corridor. It is a little bit of distance, and that's the other interesting thing about this radar site, is that there's other radar sites like this in Oregon. There's other radar sites like this all over the United States. It's not anything special as far as that goes. This radar site overlaps with the surveillance zone of a similar radar site like this up on top of Hebo Mountain. And I haven't heard any special things about Hebo Mountain as far as anomalies go. But it's still all interesting whether or not any of the anomalies are true. I definitely believe that this could be prime cryptid or Bigfoot area. You don't need a radar site to be prime cryptid or Bigfoot area. That Bigfoot's prime in any of the lush, thick forest area here in Oregon. And cryptids, and there's also, you don't need a radar site for those. In other videos, I'm going to talk about a lot of the mystery of Highway 101. There's some really good ghost stories about that, and we'll talk about those. And I also did another video on the giant face in Quartzville, Oregon, and there's not a radar tower around there either that I know of. So you don't necessarily need a radar tower, but it was an interesting part of this, and I did dig into that radar tower and investigate how it basically is searching for aircraft flying in from the coast and stuff like that, whether that be commercial aircraft, enemy aircraft, anything like that. And I really dug into a lot of things about that radar facility, and I found some pretty interesting stuff. Uh, I don't know if I'm going to make this video the full 20 minutes of footage that I have here on the web about all of the things I found about that radar facility. But right here is a website that did tell us about some of the anomalies that happen here on the stretch of highway, the Van Duzer Corridor, that being the people that have lost time and the people that see things like a man walking in striped prison garb from like the chain gang days. And as soon as they drive by and they can see the guy when they're driving up to him, but as soon as they drive past him and they look behind him in the rearview mirror, he's gone. You know, he's dragging a metal ball and a chain, and then he's gone. And then there's the other things about people seeing people from like the Victorian era. This is like a full-on Philadelphia experiment right here in Oregon, because the radar facility up there is broadcasting all of these electromagnetic waves. And here's another website that's showing you some hiking trails, and there's more websites that show maps. I found radar. I found maps of that radar facility. You know, it showed you here's where the lunchroom is, here's where the corridors are that we have people sleeping in, and here's generators and gas and, you know, everything that was about it. You could find all the information you wanted to about that radar site. It didn't seem like it was hidden at all. I could keep an open mind that it would be possible that radio waves could cause these types of events. We don't know everything about radio waves, and people talk about 5G and all that type of stuff. I will keep an open mind about it, but I would say that from my opinion, I don't think that the radar site is causing any of this type of stuff. I think that what could be causing these things is the fact that this is a channel for all of the wind and rain coming from the coast. It's a narrow stretch of highway with lots of tall trees, and Oregon has a bunch of mystery. And when you get into the thick, lush forest of Oregon, you end up seeing a lot of things. And I believe there are Bigfoots in Oregon. That I have no doubt. I believe that there's alien abductions that have happened in here in Oregon and those types of things. But I don't really, my opinion about that radar site is it's just a radar site, and I don't think it has anything to do with the anomalies here along the Van Duzer corridor. But I'm curious to hear your opinions in the comments. But I did want to make this video and go over those things, and it looks like I have managed to find enough stuff to talk about to last close to 10 minutes. And if you would like to see more on this type of thing, I would be happy to make a longer video, show you more stuff about that. Right here is the map of that radar site, by the way. I have talked long enough that I've gotten to my footage showing you the map of that radar site, the schematics and stuff. So that's pretty interesting. All of this information is public knowledge on the internet. I didn't have to do any black web or hacking to find it. I just typed into the name of that radar site and started looking this stuff up. So it's not like this stuff is hidden, like I was saying. It's public information. And all of this is just for entertainment purposes. But I find these mysteries and experiences here exploring Oregon to be extremely fascinating. And that is what I do here on I Love to Explore Oregon. So if you'd like to see more stuff like this, like and subscribe to this site. And if I ever do find anything that is for sure, without a doubt, a mystery, I will be sure and let you know. And there are some other things I have done that have gotten me a lot closer. I did a long investigation of Wolf Creek, and that would be on this video, on this channel, where I investigated Wolf Creek Inn, the oldest hotel here in Oregon. There's a 48-minute documentary here on this channel, so look for that. There's the Giant Face in Quartzville, Oregon, so look for that. And the Giant Door in Quartzville, Oregon. It also has been called the Giant Face. And there's some abandoned buildings on here and all kinds of stuff. And I'm going to keep on bringing you more material. I would really be curious to see what you have to say in the comments. And pretty soon we're going to be doing a video on the Lady of Cannon Beach and the Bandage Man of Cannon Beach. There's some really cool ghost stories there. So subscribe for that and look forward to those videos.